like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Diorpop. In a world where fame often feels loud, fleeting, and overwhelming, there are stories that unfold quietly, stories that don't rely on headlines, but on presence, trust, and time. This is not just a story about titles or global influence. It is a story about two souls who grew together under the same sky, learning how to stand strong without losing their softness. As Jimin rises as the most powerful Asian celebrity of 2025, there is a deeper narrative flowing beneath the surface, one that speaks of connection, loyalty, and a bond that has endured beyond the stage lights. This is a story of strength wrapped in gentleness, of power balanced by love, and of Jimin and Jungkook walking side by side, not because the world is watching, but because they chose each other. Let's step into this story together. When Jimin was announced as the most powerful Asian celebrity of 2025, the world's attention naturally turned to him. Headlines celebrated his influence, his artistry, his impact. Yet for those who truly understand Jimin's journey, there is another name that has always been quietly woven into that story: Jungkook. Behind every achievement, behind every title and standing ovation, there is a bond that did not grow because of the spotlight, but because of trust. A connection that doesn't need constant words, yet speaks clearly through presence alone. Jimin and Jungkook, two souls who met young, grew side by side, and learned how to become each other's home in a world that never stops moving. Jimin is courage wrapped in gentleness. Jungkook is strength that feels safe. As the world sees Jimin as a symbol of empathy, warmth, and soft yet far-reaching power, Jungkook remains the one who stands closest to him, not to overshadow, not to claim attention, but to make sure Jimin is never alone. In every major step Jimin takes, Jungkook quietly matches his pace, steadying his breath, guarding his heart. Their relationship has never been about grand displays. Instead, it lives in the smallest details. In brief glances filled with understanding. In subtle smiles that appear only when they notice each other. In Jungkook's instinctive habit of searching for Jimin in a crowd, and in the way Jimin unconsciously moves closer when the world feels too loud. As Jimin stands at the peak of global influence in 2025, Jungkook does not linger behind him as a shadow. He stands beside him, equal, unwavering, proud. There is no rivalry, no envy. Only genuine admiration. Jungkook doesn't see Jimin as the most powerful celebrity, but as someone who has endured countless struggles while keeping his heart soft. And to Jungkook, that is the most beautiful kind of strength. For Jimin, Jungkook is his anchor. In a world that constantly demands more, Jungkook is the quiet reminder to breathe. When the lights grow too bright and expectations press too hard, Jungkook offers a calm that asks no questions. No long explanations are needed. His presence alone is enough. There is a kind of romance that is not born from repeated declarations of love, but from the choice to stay. Jimin and Jungkook understand each other through time. They know when to speak, and when silence is kinder. They know when to protect, and when to lean on each other without fear. Throughout Jimin's journey as a multifaceted artist, singer, dancer, global icon, Jungkook has been the most faithful witness. He has seen the exhausting rehearsals, the doubts never spoken aloud, the tears that never reached the camera. And because of that, Jungkook loves Jimin not for the light the world sees, but for the fragile parts few are allowed to know. Their romance is never loud. It exists like a soft melody in the background, often unnoticed, yet deeply felt. When they stand side by side on stage, there is a synchronicity that cannot be taught. When distance and schedules separate them, there is a trust that never wavers. They grow as individuals, yet never lose each other. The title Most Powerful Asian Celebrity of 2025 may belong to Jimin, but the emotional strength that sustains that journey is something they have built together. Jungkook never reaches for the spotlight, but without him, many moments might feel heavier. And Jimin knows this. He feels it in the way Jungkook is always there, even without being asked. In a world that often defines power as dominance, Jimin and Jungkook offer another meaning. Power as togetherness. As the courage to depend on someone. As the decision to remain loyal, even as everything else changes. They do not promise perfection, only honesty. And perhaps that is where their romance finds its purest form. Not as a story that needs proof, but as a bond that is simply felt. Jimin may shine in the eyes of the world, but in Jungkook's eyes, he is still just Jimin, someone to protect, to support, to love quietly. Jungkook may appear strong to everyone else, but beside Jimin, he is free to simply be himself. In the end, this story is not only about titles, influence, or achievements. It is about two people who chose to walk together. About Jimin, a symbol of Asia's soft power in 2025, and Jungkook, the home where that power finally rests. A romance that does not need to be announced, because it already lives in every step, every silence, and every shared moment between them. And even as the years move forward, their story does not fade, it deepens. Time has a way of revealing what is real. Trends shift, titles change, applause eventually softens. Yet what remains between Jimin and Jungkook is something untouched by time, familiarity. The kind that doesn't need reassurance. The kind that knows, without asking, without doubting. They have grown not just together, but into each other's lives, until presence itself feels natural, inevitable. There is comfort in the way Jungkook knows Jimin's rhythms, the moments when he needs encouragement, and the moments when he needs space. There is tenderness in how Jimin understands Jungkook's silences, sensing when strength is effortless and when it is being held together quietly. They do not demand explanations from one another. They already speak the same emotional language. When the world praises Jimin's compassion and humility, Jungkook sees the nights that shaped those qualities, the moments of exhaustion, the self-doubt, the pressure to remain kind in a world that is not always gentle. And when Jungkook is admired for his power and resilience, Jimin knows the vulnerability behind it. The weight Jungkook carries, the responsibility he places on himself, the depth he rarely shows to anyone else. This is where their romance truly lives, in recognition. They are mirrors and anchors at the same time. When one shines too brightly and risks burning out, the other pulls him gently back to center. When one falters, the other steadies him without making it feel like rescue. There is no imbalance here, only exchange. In quiet moments, away from cameras and expectations, they are simply two people sharing the same space. Sitting close without touching. Laughing softly at memories only they understand. Existing without performance. These moments may never be documented, but they are the ones that matter most. They are the moments where love does not need to prove itself. Jimin's influence in 2025 is undeniable, but influence alone cannot sustain a heart. What sustains him is knowing that somewhere, Jungkook is there, watching, supporting, believing. Not in the abstract sense, but in the most human way possible. And for Jungkook, knowing that Jimin remains unchanged at his core, still gentle, still sincere, makes every burden feel lighter. Their bond does not ask the world to define it. It does not need validation, nor explanation. It simply exists, steady and enduring, shaped by shared history and mutual choice. Again and again, they choose each other, not dramatically, but deliberately. Perhaps that is the most romantic truth of all. In a life filled with noise, they are each other's quiet. In a world that constantly moves, they are each other's pause. In success that can feel isolating, they are each other's certainty. So as Jimin continues forward, carrying his title, his influence, his voice, he does not walk alone. Jungkook walks with him, not always visible, but always present. And Jungkook, in turn, moves through the world knowing there is someone who understands him beyond strength, beyond talent, beyond expectation. This is not a love defined by spectacle. It is defined by endurance. And long after the titles of 2025 become history, what will remain is this. Two hearts that learned how to grow without leaving each other behind. And as this story gently comes to a close, one truth remains clear. Titles may change, applause may fade, and time will continue to move forward, but what Jimin and Jungkook share is built on something far stronger than recognition. It is built on choice and trust, on a quiet promise to remain, even when the world feels heavy. Jimin may stand as a symbol of power, compassion, and influence in 2025, but behind that strength is a heart that knows where it belongs. And Jungkook, with his steady presence and unspoken devotion, remains the place where that heart can finally rest. This is not a love that needs to be explained or proven. It lives in shared silences, in unwavering support, and in the simple act of walking forward together, step by step, side by side. Thank you for spending this moment with Diorpop. Until the next story, keep believing in the beauty of connections that endure beyond the spotlight.